I think that most emergency fund advice is incomplete, and I do something completely different. Most will tell you to take your money and put it in one place. I don't do that at all. In fact, I have a 3-layered structure which I believe gives me better liquidity, better protections, and is a far more efficient way to structure your emergency funds. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what it is I'm doing so that you can see for yourself. Because different emergencies require different kinds of money. A flat tire is not the same as losing your job. A temporary power outage is not the same as a 6-month income disruption. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through my personal 3-layer emergency fund strategy and explain why I structure my cash this way. Now, of course, none of this is financial advice, just ideas for you to take back to your financial advisors and discuss. Now let's break this down. Now let's be clear. I'm not saying the normal emergency fund advice is bad. It's not. I actually agree with the idea of keeping 3 to 6 months of your expenses saved. That's a good thing. And by the way, if you've done that, you're ahead of most people. So, congrats. Where I disagree is how most people are told to structure it. Basically, you're told to take the money and put it into a savings account and never touch it. Forget it's even there. And personally, I believe that's too simplistic. Because not all the money in your emergency fund has the same job. Some money you need right now. It's got to be accessible immediately. Some money can wait a day or 2 or 3 or longer. And some money, a bulk of the money in your emergency fund is really there for a major financial disruption like a loss of income. Once I started separating my funds by purpose instead of treating them all the same, that's when I started to develop my 3-layer structure. And this approach I think makes a lot more sense. Let's break it down. Layer 1, physical cash. I mean actual cold hard cash. Now I'm not saying take your whole emergency fund and stuff it in your mattress, although you could put a little bit in there. What I'm talking about is to have enough cash on hand to get you through a temporary situation. Imagine you couldn't pull money out of an ATM for some reason, maybe an earthquake, natural disaster, power outage, or you lost your ATM card. Now you have no access to it. Or even worse, what if the president came on the television and said, "Hey, I'm sorry everybody, but we're not going to let the banks open on Monday." As rare as that may be, it has happened before. At the end of the day, there's nothing more liquid than actual cash in your hand. And let's be honest, most people don't think about this layer. Most people don't think about a temporary disruption that could last weeks that would stop you from your ability to pull money out of your own bank. And honestly, most people never think about this layer until they actually need it. I mean, really, who thinks about a temporary situation that's going to block you from access to your own funds in your own bank account? And personally, I like to have about 2 weeks of physical cash on hand. This will cover any of the temporary emergencies, food, gas, basic necessities that I may have. Because the whole point of having an emergency fund is to cover those things that are unforeseen, unlikely, but still possible. I'm just curious, do any of you keep physical cash on hand for emergencies like this? I can't be the only one. Let me know in the comments below. Layer 2 is where I keep a larger amount of money than my physical cash, but not quite as much as my layer 3. In this layer, I need immediate access to cash, so I generally keep it in a high-yield savings account. And this layer is more for your traditional emergencies. Things like car repair, emergency travel, medical expenses, unforeseen expenses, or anything you need quick cash for. The reason I like a high-yield savings account over a traditional savings or checking account is because with those traditional accounts, the interest they pay on them is so low, you're losing to inflation. Inflation is eating away at the value of your dollar, so over time, you're losing purchasing power. Now, obviously, putting your money in a high-yield savings account isn't going to make you a lot of money. That's not the goal here. Now, I'm not trying to turn my emergency fund into an investment portfolio. I'm just trying to put my money in a place that's a little more efficient while staying safe and highly liquid. To me, a high yield savings account is a better place to park your money than a traditional savings or checking account. Now, I'm not saying a checking or savings account is a bad thing. I think you got to use the right tool for the right job. And for me, a high yield savings account is a better place to park your money than a traditional account. And depending on the account, some of these high yield savings accounts offer debit cards so you can still go to an ATM and have immediate access to your account. And the ones that don't, if you choose one of those, just transfer it into your checking account and use your debit card there. Now you have instant access. Now, a lot of advisors do suggest that you take your emergency fund and put it into a high yield savings account, and I think that is a great idea. But a lot of them stop there and they don't have the other layers to them. And this is where I think I'm a little bit different. I'm curious though, is this a foreign idea? Is this something new to you, or have you heard this before? Leave in the comments below. I'm curious to see what you guys are running into. But either way, this isn't the biggest emergency you could run into. There is something even bigger, and that's where layer 3 comes in. So with these first 2 layers, this is going to cover most of your small urgent emergencies. But there's still a bigger emergency with a larger impact that requires a lot more money, and that is the loss of income. So with layer 3, this is designed to deal with that. Layer 3 is what I consider my secondary emergency reserve. This money is meant for larger long-term financial disruptions. Things like a loss of job, an income disruption, maybe a medical emergency for you, your spouse, your kids, a loved one, or any situation where you're going to need financial support for multiple months. And this is important because for most people, the biggest emergency isn't a sudden expense. It's a loss of income. And with a loss of income, you need a system to take care of you. And if you lose your income, you don't need 6 months of reserves all in one day. You need them spread out over a period of time. So for this layer, I'm okay with sacrificing a little bit of immediate liquidity for a little more efficiency. This is where I personally start to look at things like money market accounts, cash management accounts, or treasuries. Now again, I'm not trying to aggressively invest my emergency fund. My primary goal is still safety and liquidity. But if this money is going to be sitting there for a long period of time, I personally prefer to park it somewhere that's still safe and is going to earn a better yield. Now obviously the trade-off is liquidity. It's the speed at which you can access your funds. With a high yield savings account or a traditional account, you can pretty much get access to your funds immediately. But with these funds, it may take a couple days before you get access to them. But I think the trade-off is okay because at this layer, the design is for longer term disruptions. So these are bigger events that aren't as urgent as the first 2 layers. So for me, I don't treat every dollar in my emergency fund the same way. And I think using this 3-layer approach is more efficient. I have high liquidity and better protection against inflation. So I'm curious, does this seem like a strategy that would work for you? Or is there something you would change? Or do you know of another strategy that I should consider? Inquiring minds want to know. The exact amount you're going to put in each of these layers is going to be different for everyone. I mean, it's going to depend on everything. Your income stability, your risk tolerance, your view of liquidity, your expenses. Your situation is going to be different than mine. Personally, I like to keep a little bit of cash on hand. I like to keep a little more in a high yield savings account. And I like to keep further reserves in that 3rd layer for financial disruptions. So as an example, for cash on hand, I like to keep about 2 to 3 weeks. For me, that's comfortable. That's going to get me to where I need to get to layer 2. For you, if you're in an area where you have power outages that last a month, you might want to consider carrying a little bit more. You want to be able to get through these kind of a situation. And layer 2, this is the high yield savings account. Here, I only keep about 2 months in. I don't need a whole lot. It's mainly here for any of those unexpected things that arise, and I need to take care of them quickly. And then layer 3, this is going to be the money market, bond fund, or cash management accounts. Here's where I'm going to keep a bulk of my reserves. This is going to be 4 to 5 months worth of reserves. The main reason for this is in case of a loss of income, some bigger event. Maybe it's a medical situation, something that happens where you're going to need a steady amount of income to carry you through this period of time. Each layer serves a different purpose. Each one solves a different problem. And together, I believe it creates a system that is more flexible than just keeping your money in one account. Now, I'm not saying this is the only way to do this. There's plenty of smart people out there who would structure their emergency funds differently. Some would say, go ahead and put it all in a high yield savings account. That's good enough. Some would say have more cash on hand. And there's people that don't believe you should put emergency funds any amount into a brokerage account. And that's all fine. The point of this video isn't to tell you what to do, it's to share with you what I'm doing and to get you to think differently about how you can structure your account. Now I'm curious to hear how you're structuring your emergency fund. Are you doing something similar, something completely different? Do you have a takeaway from this? Please leave it in the comments below as I read everything, and maybe you have an approach or something that I should implement. Well, I hope you found value in this video. If you did, and you think this information would help somebody you know, please share the video with them, as that is the best way to say thank you. Until next time, follow for more.